Okay, so if you've come to the conclusion, yes, I want to drain my water heater, and you have a gas water heater, we're going to show you how to do a gas heater. If you have an electric heater, then we also have a video on how to drain your electric heater. They're similar but yet different. So on your gas heater, you're going to know it's gas because it's got a flue pipe. It's also got a gas control. The first thing you're going to want to do is set your gas control to the lowest setting or vacation. Hopefully you have a vacation mode. And the reason you're going to want to set it to vacation is so the burner assembly will not turn on and the pilot light will stay lit. If the pilot light goes out, we also have a video on how to light your water heater. Okay, now we're going to hook up the water hose. As a service plumber, if you do not have one of these transfer pumps, we actually have the Liberty pump. I'll leave a link for that below. But this transfer pump will make your job really go quickly. So if you don't have one, I highly suggest it. If you're a homeowner, I probably wouldn't invest in one. So we're just going to move this over here out of the way. We are going to talk just briefly about plastic drains. Really, need I say more? They are plastic and they are very easy. As you can see, this one actually broke off in a water heater before. So you got to be really careful when hooking up your water hose because they'll cross thread and then you'll have leaks and make a mess in your house. When we install water heaters, we make sure we use the water heaters that have the brass drains. That is the best drain for your water heater. So now we're just going to go ahead and take the female end of your hose. I probably don't need to explain all that to you, and hook it up to the male part of your drain over here. So that's what we're going to do next. Now we're going to take the male end of the water hose outside. Now, you do not want to lay this on your concrete or any of your grass. The reason you don't want to lay it on your concrete is because there's probably going to be rust in the bottom of your heater, and you don't want that rust staining your concrete. It is a booger to get that out of the discoloration out. You also do not want to put it on your grass. You don't want to put it on any of your plants. This water is really hot and it will kill your greenery. Now that you have your hose stretched out and the end of it is where you want it to be, while the water is still on and fully pressurized, you're going to go ahead and you're going to turn this valve on. As you can see, this one's going to need a screwdriver. You're going to lefty-loosey. Sometimes they do have little handles. But anyway, you're going to open that up under full pressure. You're going to go outside and you're going to make sure that the water is flowing through your water hose. If it's not, we have a little short video that you can check out that gives some tips on how to unclog this drain for you. It's okay to leave your water running while you're getting a plan together. So the next thing we're going to want to do is to figure out how we're going to vent the heater. I wanted to take a second to explain to you what venting the water heater actually is. When you're going to drain your water heater, we're going to pretend that this bottom part is the water heater. We're going to introduce air, and that is going to let the water heater drain just like that. So you can vent it several different ways. You can open up the hot side of a lavatory faucet. This is probably not going to work and my least favorite, but you can try it, but probably not going to work. My favorite way is going to be to loosen up your thermal expansion valve. Not your thermal expansion valve, your thermal expansion tank. So you're going to just loosen that up, and we're going to let a little bit of air in when we take it off. And that's going to allow the heater to drain quickly. Another way is if you have these unions. If you have this kind of connector on your water heater, we don't recommend these connectors, but if you have this connector, you can unscrew it down here, and that will create a vent as well. And my last My last one is to take your thermal. I am really on the thermal today, but this is called a temperature and pressure valve. So what you're going to want to do is open this up just like this. And that's definitely going to create a vent. However, you got a 50-50 chance if you do this of it actually shutting back. There is a drain connected to this that goes to the outside of your house, and that's where the hot water is going to go and create a great vent. But when you get through and you shut this down, sometimes where a water heater is really old, the mechanism on the inside of the heater will not shut the water back off. So then you have to replace this, and that opens up a whole new can of worms.
Yeah, look, a gummy worm. I'm hungry. Yeah.
So we don't really recommend this unless it's just absolutely necessary. So you've probably left your drain on all this time, so that's good. You're still getting some sediment out of your water heater, but now it's actually time to shut the water off out at the street or at your meter or at your well pump, wherever you're going to shut your main water off at. But what you do not want to do is shut it off right here at the water heater on the cold line. You should have a shut off valve on the cold side of your heater. The only one I would recommend for you to use at your heater would be a ball valve, a brass ball valve. It's just a quarter turn valve. So you can shut it off. It'll be perpendicular to the pipe. Most people, I would say 25 to 50% of people may have this, but a lot of people have these. This is CPVC ball valves. They're very brittle. As you can see on this one, when they originally installed it, it had glue in it, and it just will not shut off. And a lot of times these will just break off, just come off the water line. So you don't want that to happen. This is a gate valve. There's a little gate that goes up and down. A lot of times it'll get stuck in the open position or the closed position. So you really just want to leave it alone. So the safest place to turn your water heater off is at the street at the meter. Now that your water's off, it is time for you to vent your water heater in whichever way, whichever method you have chosen to do. And then you're just going to sit back and you're going to wait or go do something for about 15 minutes to an hour. You'll know it's through draining when the water's not coming out of the end of the water hose. Now that your water heater is through draining, we're going to shut off the drain valve on your heater. We're going to put the vent, which we use the thermal expansion tank. We're going to put the vent. We're going to put our thermal expansion tank back on. And then if you had a ball valve, you want to make sure that it's open. And then we're going to go out to the meter and we're going to turn the water on. And why do you want to leave the hose hooked up? Because sometimes those drain valves fail. So you want to make sure that when you turn the water on, you want to go, when you're coming back in, go look at the water hose, the end of the water hose, and make sure that there's still no water coming out of it. So when you're coming in from the meter and you've checked your water hose, you want to quickly come into your home and find a bathtub or a shower, and you're going to want to turn, not a shower. Try to use a bathtub because it doesn't have an aerator and there won't be sediment in that. So you're going to turn on your tub valve all the way to hot, and you're going to hear some spittering and sputtering. If you can imagine, this water heater has air in it because it's empty. So the water is going to start filling up at the bottom, and the water is going to keep coming up through here, through the water heater. And then the air is here and it's got to go somewhere. So it's going to come out of that tub and shower valve. It's going to sound pretty rough. But once it starts sounding normal, then you know that the water heater is full of water and you can shut that valve body off to your tub. We are almost finished with this process. If you're finding this video helpful, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and share. Now we are going to go ahead and we're going to turn our gas control back to your preferred setting. You know, don't ever turn it all the way to the highest setting because that's a whole nother can of worms. But basically, if you turn it up too hot, there's safety mechanisms that'll shut your heater off. So just be mindful, and you don't want your kids to be scalded. So try to pay attention to where it was before you put it on vacation. If you have a circulating pump, now is the time to plug that pump back in. And if your hose is not leaking, if this valve here is working, it's time to disconnect your water hose. And the fun part is to clean up and you're done. We need to get moving, baby. Or